Okay, today's lesson is talking about charting to a million. When we talk about charting, that means we're going to record it. So make sure you're following along. For some of you, this whole business of getting to a million is not a problem. For others, well, you need a little more practice. Oh, and by the way, yesterday with the rounding work that you did, most everybody did a really, really good job. We need more practice in angles, though. Okay, focus now. Focus. So today, as we work, we're going to begin our lesson looking at the same little grid that I had out a couple of days ago. So they're tiny little squares. Does anybody remember how many little tiny squares we decided were on one piece? Phoenix.
1 million?
Let's find out.
Okay, we're gonna count to 1 million.
Yay!
No,
Phoenix too.
Okay, we have one little square of 100, so that's 100. 1,000, or in other words, 1,000. Let's count by thousands again. 1,000.
3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000.
So we have 10,000 squares. Now we have, I just gave Akaya one of those. How many squares do we have? If that was 10,000, she has one of those, so we have what? 20,000. Jared has 30,000.
40,000, 50,000,
60,000.
60,000, 70,000, 80,000.
We're gonna have
80,000.
No.
70,000.
No.
80,000. 90,000. 100,000. No one has 100,000. 100. Okay, what is this now? 110,000. 120,000. 130,000. 140,000. 150,000. Come on now, they can't hear it. They can't see this. You guys gotta say it.
No.
So what are we on now? 160,000. 70,000. 180,000. 190,000. And Sophia makes 200,000.
That's really cute.
210,000. 220,000. Oh my goodness, we still have papers left over. 230,000.
You have to make count.
240,000. Oh my goodness, this one's for the crayfish. 250,000. Okay, people, we have counted to 250,000. How much further do we have to go? What I want a real answer, not a general answer. How much further do we have to go?
Oh no.
We put the book down. We are a quarter of the way to a million. Okay, so Safira, how much more do we have to go yet? Did you? 750,000. You are absolutely correct, Safira. In other words, people at home, you didn't see this, but I handed a page out to every single person in here. Miss Elizabeth got one, Miss Sherry got one, and we had an extra, so we had to give it to the crayfish. So that way we could have 25 of them distributed. And we're only a quarter of the way to a million. In other words, now think about it. I passed out 25 papers. How many more papers do we need to get to a million? Yes, sir. Okay, so Phoenix realized something. I'm going to say that in a bit. Yes. We need 75 more papers. I didn't want to kill a tree, so I did not print 75 more papers. And as Phoenix said, each of us needs 3 more papers. So for example, if I would get this one and this one, and I just stole Akaya's, each of us would need this many papers with this many tiny squares to make, it would kill a lot of trees. So that's why I did do this. And I'm going to have my math helpers, Emmett and David, collect these papers again because we're going to use them again next year. I don't want to keep killing the trees. But there are really a lot of tiny little squares, and we really cannot fathom, we cannot understand how big a million is. It is huge.
Humongous.
Huge-mongous. My grandson's favorite word right now is huge. He's not the big brother, he's the huge brother. I got a kick out of that. Thought it was cute. How many of you have seen this book? How big is a million, or how much is a million? Oh dear, people have colored on these. Nobody last year colored on, but this year we did. That's sad. How many of you remember how many warnings you get before you get a minor? Several of you are ready to get one warning already. Thank you. Calming yourselves. So here we have the book, How Much is a Million? Whoever is closest to the black switch, please turn it off. Thank you. That way I don't have a glare. Okay, so how much is a million? We're going to go through this. Please look at the numbers. You can see where we go from 1 to 10 to 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million. So again, we're talking about how much is a million. So if 1 million kids climbed onto each other's shoulders, they would be taller than the tallest buildings, higher than the highest mountains, and farther than what airplanes can fly. Yes, sir.
The people at the bottom would have really a good back.
Sounds like Yertle the turtle all over again, huh? Yeah, they get squished. But somebody engineered it so it could be done. If you wanted to count from 1 to a million, it would take you 23 days if you counted each number.
What?
Okay, so do you think you really want to do that?
No.
Do you understand why we just counted by thousands? You're on a warning. If a goldfish bowl were big enough for 1 million goldfish, hear that goldfish in the back of the room? It would be large enough to hold a whale. And presto, 100 stars. Okay, yeah, 100 stars. If this book had 1 million tiny stars, they would fill up 70 pages. So if we had pages full of stars, it would take 70 pages.
That's scary. I do not want to. Are they really going to do it? No, they're not. If they did, that would be so funny.
Gotta get my glasses on this tiny print.
That would be.
It says, there you have 100,000 stars. If we take this 7-page journey 10 times, we'll pass 1 million stars. So I would have to go back and page through these 7 times. So we'll do it later. And on there it says, I'm hungry, so I'm certain one of you guys out there is. So now it says, how big is a billion? If 1 billion kids made a human tower, they could stand up past the moon. If you sat down to count from 1 to 1 billion, counting each number, it would take you 95 years.
Oh, snap. That's scary. They count slow.
If you found a goldfish bowl large enough to hold 1 billion goldfish, it would be as big as a stadium.
How big's the stadium?
This is a stadium.
I don't want to be.
If this book had 1 billion tiny stars, its pages would stretch side by side for almost 10 miles.
Oh, is this real?
Yes. How tremendous is a trillion? If a trillion kids, so if a trillion kids stood on top of each other, they would reach way, way, way beyond the moon, beyond Mars and Jupiter too, and almost to the rings of Saturn. If you wanted to count from one to a trillion, it would take you almost 200,000 years.
Wow. Wait,
Whoa, huh?
They're in the future.
If you put 1 trillion goldfish in a goldfish bowl,
Uh-oh.
it would have to be as big as a city harbor.
Oh.
If you put a trillion of our stars onto a gigantic roll of paper, it would stretch all the way from New York to New Zealand. Okay, so for those of you that are curious, here are all the facts about it. So it is research. It's not just a let's make a funny book. The research is in this book. And this is one of the books from our library. So we have billions, trillions, and quadrillions. I mean, these are really big numbers. I am not going into all of this. I should have marked my page. Okay.
Okay, be quiet.
Thinking about it. Oh my goodness, you guys love fractions. Look at that. They're talking about fractions.
Yay!
Yay! But actually, I want to talk about thinking in hundreds. And that's something we can fathom. We can count to 100. Some of you really fast can do it in less than a minute. You cheated. We can think of 1,000. So to describe thousands units, we can use the word kilo or a K. How many of you remember from the test that there was this like 2K and a 5K and you didn't know what that meant? So it's talking about kilometers, how long something is. Okay, so here we go. Here's our millions page. A million is 1,000. It's lots of 1,000s. Or in other words, 1,000 times 1,000. So it is written by a 1 with 6 zeros. Thinking big. Big numbers can be hard to understand, and it helps to think about everyday things and what a million of them would be like. So take a second. Okay, now think about a minute. How long is a minute?
60 seconds.
How about an hour?
60 minutes.
Okay, how many seconds?
3,000. 120.
A little bit more than that. So if 60 seconds are in a minute, and 60 minutes are in an hour, you would have to do 60 times 60.
That is 120 million? No. To me.
So anyway, if you want to know how many a million seconds are, a million seconds is 11 and 6/10 days. So let's say 11 and a half days ago, since then a million seconds have passed. If we think of 11 and a half days from now, so we're on the 4th, so to the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th. So between the 15th and the 16th, another million seconds will have gone by. A million minutes makes about 2 years. A million hours is around 114 years. A million days is about 2,700 years. Okay.
Who's like they're trying to do stuff like this?
People who like to do computations.
I like to do
Think about 1,000,000 kilometers, which is about 620,000 miles. That's more than the distance to the moon and back. A car traveling at 62 miles per hour could drive to the nearest star, which is Proxima Centauri, and it would take more than 45 million years to get there. 45 million.
That is a lot.
Okay, so imagine that you have 1,000,000 pennies. If you could stack them in a pile, it would be 58 hundredths miles tall. 58 hundredths of a mile. So over a half a mile. It'd also be worth $10,000.
Wait, what?
Okay, so this book was written in the last few years. Oh goodness, I gotta get my glasses on. I can't read that. Okay, the book was written 3 years ago. So the population dates are fairly accurate. And it says in populations of countries, we're counting in the millions. There are about 1,000,000 people in a large city. The world's biggest city is Japan, with about 8 million people living in its center and 36 million people living in the surrounding metropolis. So think about that. That's 42 million people in this area around Tokyo. Yes.
How do people come up with numbers like this?
Some people like to think about numbers and play with numbers. Yes. I know I am. Isn't it fun? Okay, we're not going to go into the billions, but for those of you who are very interested in this sort of trivia, this book does have a lot of fun numbers. Okay, so people at home, I hope we're having a little bit of fun. We were having a good time.
I wasn't.
Oh dear. What I want you to do now is get out your notebook. You need your math notebook. Because remember, we have been playing with this. Okay, Jared and Gabby, glue this into your math notebook.
Like this. Wait, Gabby's here?
Yeah, Jacob's got it here. Let's see what he has.
I can't even see them. So you put it in your notebook like that.
And Jared and Gabby, you don't have to try to get those numbers copied in, only if you have time.
Good, it's a pizza. No way.
Are we ready? Oh, look at that. Jared's ready to go already, and he had to glue it in. Oh, no.
Oh, I found it.
Okay. I am going to say the number this time, and you're going to see if you can get it written in the correct placement. It's not going to be a large number.
Okay, good. Like, it's gonna be in the thousands or something.
So are we ready? Everybody's ready?
Yeah.
Okay, Emma and Trevor are ready? Yay, they gave me the thumbs up. Okay, so the number, like I said, is going to be smaller. Ethan had already guessed what digits I was going into. So this number is 4,038 and 12 100ths. I will say it again. 4,038 and 12 100ths.
4,000. So 4,038. So 4,038 is wait 4,038.
And 12 100ths.
I wrote it.
How do we think we did?
I think we did. Yeah, Luke checked their papers to see if we were correct. I wrote it. What was it again?
4,038 and 12 100ths. 4,038 and 12 100ths. Where do I start? Which column do I start in? The thousands. So if I would pronounce my number, you remember I keep saying pronounce the number. So I think here's my thousands column. So it's 4,038. I didn't say 300. So it's got to be 38. What do I do here? A zero. And 12 100ths. See, I had to say the word hundredths, and here's my hundredths. So Jared and Gabby are learning this today. They've been gone for a few days. We're going to do another one.
Yay!
Are we ready?
Yes.
I heard somebody say no.
No. Yes.
Here we go again. The number is 8,102 and 47 100ths. 8,102 and 47 100ths. 8,102 and 47 100ths. Eight 8,102 and 47 100ths. Anna, I need you to get the number written down so we can move on. Here's the pencil. 8,102 and 47 100ths. So are you listening closely?
Yes.
I saw some of, there's a few people that aren't done yet, but we need to keep conscious of our time. You didn't write your number yet. Where? 8,102 and 47 100ths. This is the next number. You have to write that down. Where? That's 4,000. We're on 8,000. 8,102 and 47 100ths.
I feel like I got it right.
Ethan, did you write it down yet? So what column do I start in? What column do I start in? The thousands. 8,102. Notice I have to put a zero there because there's nothing in the tens column. And so I have to put my decimals. Some of you are not writing your decimals. 47 100ths. Last number.
Okay.
Some of you are missing out on some really good practice. This one's going to be a large number.
Yay!
And of course, I have to make it hard.
Yay!
So for some of you, this will be hard. I want you to do your best and then fix it when we rewrite it. Do your best. I'm hoping that you know where to start it. So listen to this. It is 123,004 and 8 100ths. 123,000. Oh, and, okay, 1,023,004 and 8 100ths. And you did the 8 100ths correct anyway?
I think they do.
Okay, so 123,004 and 8 100ths. How do you write the 8 100ths? How do you write the 8 100ths? Grace?
08.
Yep. Decimal 08. I'm starting to run out of space on my page.
Can I write it for you? No, can I write it?
Okay, so now what column do I start in if the number is 123,004?
100,000.
100,000s? Okay, so if we're starting in the 100,000s, our first number is 123,000. See how I pronounce this as 123,000. Then it says 4.
So it's not.
Did I say 400?
No.
Did I say 40?
No.
I said 4. I wanted to do that again because, like I said, we have 2 people who've missed this work. So I didn't say 400. I didn't say 40. And I just said 4. My 4 is here. What do I do with this space and this space? Thank you. People are saying we put zeros there. How many of you were able to get that number down the first time? Okay, how many of you after a little help got it down? Okay, after a little help, more people got it down. This one was a hard number. I told you it was going to be hard. Okay, we're finished with that part, and we're going to move to a new page. So you're going to move on to the next page. We're going to do something called large numbers. It's very interesting because I've been kind of watching how what we write is comparing to last year, and we're like right on track. So today is 3-4-21. We're going to write large numbers.
Yay!
So this is the heading on your next page. We are going to write these numbers in 3 different ways. And we need extra space. You know, your test that you had did not give you enough room to write. Although many of you did a very nice job of trying to get all of your words and numbers inside those little boxes on the test. I still have a couple of people who haven't finished that test yet, so I have not handed it back. Just like from last week, we still have a couple people that haven't turned in the test yet. So our first number we're going to work with is 85,000. You see how I put the comma? I said 85,000. And then the next part is 432. Then just put an equal sign and wait for instructions.
Job implication.
So you're writing the number 85,000, then there's a comma, 432. Now we're going to write this number in expanded form. What does it mean for expanded form? Phoenix.
80,000 plus 5,000 plus 400 plus 30 plus.
Okay, so Phoenix just told us each of these. For those of you that are having a little problem with expanded form, I want you to watch what I'm going to do. This is 80,000. let's see, I need to have an 8 with 1, 2, 3, 4 digits. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have zeros. Now I underline it to make certain I get it. Now I have the 5,000. So I have my 5, 1, 2, 3 zeros. 5,000. I need to go on to the next line. And now I'm to 400. Oh, that's easy enough to write. Plus 30 plus 2. Okay. Now we're going to write it in words.
No.
Okay. So how do we spell the word 80? Grace?
Question E-I-G-H-T-Y.
80 hyphen 5, because that is a contraction, or not a contraction, a compound word. 85,000. Notice I put a comma after that. See, here's 85, and then we have a comma. Here's 85 and a comma. Now, how do I do the next part? 432. How would I do that? Writing it in words. Luke.
You were 400. 30.
Yeah. So when you pronounce the word, you're saying the word names, and so just simply listen to what you're saying. Do your best in spelling. I am not going to be grading you on spelling of these words unless it is so off I can't figure out what it is. And for some of you, when you don't know how to spell something, I see this. I'm supposed to try to read that.
What is it?
I don't know. That's why it gets marked wrong. Do your best in using your sounds. 80 is one of the most misspelled words that we have when it comes to numbers. So if you know how to spell 8, that's great. It rhymed. Those of you at home, we've got people rolling their eyes. They didn't like that. Okay, so now we're moving into our workbook. Oh, wait, let's do one more. I want you to do one more, and I want you to do it on your own. This is the number. The number is 179,348. Do it in expanded form, then write it as a word.
Sit down on your butt. I can't see it.
Well, you were on your feet before. Let's straighten the table out so you can see. Yeah, very much.
Politely. Needs. I can't see it. I can't see it. I can't see it.
I don't even know.
Stop. Stop. Can you reposition it, please? Get out of the chair. Get out of the chair. Me? Can I go by?
Okay, who would like to write this in my notebook? Luke, come on over. Do the expanded form.
It's another. So the board meeting? So like the bowling alley.
Okay, so he's up by Luke to watch what Luke's doing. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, Luke wrote the number in expanded form.
That was hard.
So it is 100,000 plus 70,000 plus 9,000 plus 300 plus 40 plus 8. Okay, who's going to write the word write it in words? Okay, Brooklyn, can you go up there and write it?
Oh no, that's not why. I didn't want it to be boring. That's like. What about what? Oh, I think someone's birthday party. Yeah, so did he. I went to tell you what I was. Wanna remember what I wore? I did go. I didn't. I thought that. I didn't know it was.
Okay, so double check what you did. Check your spelling. Check to see what's there. Notice that Brooklyn put a comma after the words 179,000. Just like in the number 179,000, there is a comma, Will. Will, warning 1. Then we write the rest of the number, 348. Okay, what we're working on next, as the large numbers, you guys are just breezing right through, so that's wonderful. We're ahead of schedule in our lessons. We are. We're moving on to page 133 and 100. Oh, we are not doing 134. That's tomorrow. So we will be finished with math really fast today. It is 133. 134 is a game. So tomorrow you're learning a game. So here we are back to rounding again. 133, it's on the board. Yep, some of you did. Okay, so to do a review, I need you to be respectful, please. Some of you are finished, but that does not give you the right to talk and interfere with someone else's learning. So looking at this page, we're talking about rounding, and some of us can't remember about the rounding. Here we've been rounding to the nearest 10, but if we're rounding to the nearest 1,000, we could actually use this. Is this 1,000 yet? But if now I've got hundreds. Did you see how I added a zero? Now I have thousands. So if I add my numbers, it can help me. What we're thinking about, we're looking at this number, 6,780, rounded to the nearest 1,000. If we think of a number line, 5,000 is before, 6,000 is before this number. 7,000 is after this number. Where would I put, and then 6,500 is what's in between. So remember when I was looking at this thing, if I would figure out my number, I could add my zeros. Looking at this, 6,780 would be about here. Is it closer to 6,000 or is it closer to 7,000? Reese? 7,000. So you can see that if we would make this into our little number line, it's right there. So all of these are rounded to the nearest 1,000. I'm going to pause the video while we work. Please complete 5 and 6 on the bottom as well. And we will, in about 5 minutes, it won't be 5 minutes for you guys, but in about 5 minutes, we'll go over this page. Okay, we are going to go through our workbook page. In our workbook page, we already have the answer for number 1 because we looked at the 6,700. Now we're looking at this number, 5,438. We look at the 4, the 54. What is it closer to? 5,400. Is it closer to 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, or 8,000?
8,000.
Oh, I'm glad you're kidding. Yes, ma'am. 5,000. Thank you, Anna. Okay, looking at this one. 4,991 miles. It's rounded to the nearest 1,000. Looking at the 9, or in other words, we're looking at the 49. What is it closest to? 5,000, 6,000. Oh, or 41,000 or 49,000. Well, what do we think, Gabby? 5,000. Nobody got tripped up on these, correct?
I got tripped up.
Uh-oh. Fix them if you have an oops. This is all practice. So here they have a group of people, they are driving. They don't tell us what we're supposed to round to. Wouldn't it be easiest to round to the nearest 100? If you round it to the nearest 100, our answer isn't on there. So if we round it to the nearest 10, what would 674 be rounded to if we're rounding to the nearest 10? Luke? 670. What would this one be rounded to? 470. Okay. So for 670 plus 470 is about what? Crickets. Nobody knows. 670 plus 470. We're estimating. So it would be approximately this. Like I said, I would think, unless your book is different than my book.
No.
No, okay, because I have an older edition. Okay, because like I said, I would round it to the nearest 100. Because if you're estimating, you want it to be quick and easy. Okay, let's look at this. It is 1,164 kilometers from Vancouver, British Columbia to Edmonton. What is 1,164 rounded to the nearest 1,000? Yes, ma'am. 1,000. How many of you wanted to write this? Because if you did, you were thinking about the nearest 100. We wanted to think about this digit. That's the thousands. Takes a little practice. Okay, and let's look at this. Our number, it is 2,668 kilometers from Winnipeg to Kitimat. What is this rounded to the nearest 1,000? There's our thousands. We look at those two numbers to decide. Addison, how many of you remember to do the kilometers? Okay. So that's our lesson for today. Tomorrow we're going to begin with a game. So our game is this. We're going to be working with adding and rounding and comparing our numbers. It is a competition. So here we go. We will see you tomorrow. Bye.